Well, I've just chaired another meeting of the government's Cobra Emergency Committee. The decisions that I'm taking are about putting the safety of British people first. That's why we suspended the flights to Sharm el-Sheikh, and that's why it's going to take some time before we can fly people out of Sharm el-Sheikh back to Britain. What we need to put in place is more security at that airport so it's safe to fly people home. That's our priority. That's what we'll work with the Egyptians to do. Look, we cannot be certain that the Russian airliner was brought down by a terrorist bomb, but it looks increasingly likely that that was the case. And so I act on the intelligence, I act on the advice of experts, and it's the right thing to do to suspend these flights until we can safely bring people home. Well, first of all, I have every sympathy for the Egyptians because, of course, tourism is vitally important to their economy. I want to restore our links and our flights with Egypt as soon as is safe and is possible. But, you know, I have to put the safety and want to put the safety of British people first. Now, if that Russian airliner was brought down by a terrorist bomb, that does have very real implications, and it means it's absolutely essential that we see that improvement of security at Sharm el-Sheikh airport. And that's what I'll be discussing with the Egyptians today, and we'll be working round the clock with our experts to help put that in place. I also feel huge sympathy for British holidaymakers, those who are about to go on holiday, who have had to, unpack their bags and stay at home. That'll be deeply disappointing to them. And also, I'm worried too about the 20,000 British people in Sharm el-Sheikh, many of whom now are overdue for coming home and will be wanting to come home, and we'll do everything we can to help them. But I want to make sure they can come home safely. That's what all of this is about. A lot of those people. What I can say is we're working round the clock with the Egyptians to put in place the necessary security measures at the airport to give every assurance that they can come back safely. As I say, we cannot be certain that the Russian airliner was brought down by a terrorist bomb, but because it's a strong possibility, it's right to act. It's right to act quickly, it's right to act on the advice that we receive, it's right to act on the intelligence that we have. We discuss this with others in Europe, we discuss it with the Americans. I'll be calling President Putin in a moment or two to discuss this with him as well. But my view is that my job is to take the action necessary to protect the interests of British citizens and British lives. So to those people in Sharm el-Sheikh who are overdue coming home, we'll do everything we can to bring you home, but it must be bringing you home safely. We want to start as soon as possible. I mean, there are a relatively simple and straightforward set of things that need to happen at Sharm el-Sheikh airport to give us the certainty, the greater certainty of safety at that airport, and then the aeroplanes, which are there on the tarmac in Sharm el-Sheikh, can load up those passengers and bring them home. More airlines will be flying out in the normal way, but of course they'll be flying out empty. Not British passengers going to Sharm el-Sheikh, but they'll be flying to Sharm to bring people back. And then, of course, we aim, working with the Egyptians, to put in place the security measures that are necessary for the long term so we can restart flights between Britain and Sharm el-Sheikh. I know to the Egyptians how important this is. I look forward to discussing it with them today. The links between our country are strong. The enjoyment British tourists have out of going to Sharm el-Sheikh, very, very positive, but it's not right at the moment to continue those flights. That's why we need to take that action. You said